Everyone knows that the Earth is round, that in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue, that Al Gore created the internet, and that the United States is the greatest country to this date. But hardly anyone has heard of the snub-nosed skeleton. You see, this surprises me, because in my opinion, Snub changed the world.
Most people have heard of the infamous Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster, but little is spoken about the influential snub-nosed skeleton. Records of his existence date back to ancient times, where ancient civilizations made cave paintings of the creature. His existence continued to be relevant through the Renaissance, making his way into various masterpieces of the time. He continued as a muse through the centuries, and even into modern art of today.
Well, basically, and I emphasize basically, there have been many instances since recorded history that have been influenced by this mysterious creature. Sir Frederick, cryptozoologist and self-appointed Sir of the Knights of Xandar. It began in the 20th century when Snub was becoming a household name. Well, not entirely, but on his way through the multitude of political influences during the past 100 years. It began in the early 20th century when Snub decided to become politically active in the women's suffrage movement.
Normally classified as a male, Snub's sex is technically undetermined. It is believed he is a male feminist who worked alongside these women previously and believed they had the right to vote. While working with these women in one particular place, known as the Triangle Shirtwaist Garment Factory, he became fed up with the mistreatment of his co-workers and took matters into his own hands, starting a fire that led to a disastrous outcome.
Now you see, Snub's original intention was to make a point, and a good one I believe, not realizing or comprehending the results or what might come, let's say, from his actions. Dr. Sudoku, professor of home economics, Hofstra University, and inventor of Sudoku. By the time he had escaped what was sure to be known as a massacre, most of the women were deceased or passed on, let's say. Now, to Snub's credit, being an honorable man, he did return to the burning building and tried to save as many of them as he could, but it was to no avail. Or no dice, as the kids say. Unfortunately, this begins the period that many viewed as the denouement of his life.
According to history books relevant to the time, Snub quickly disappeared. It is claimed that he began drinking and abusing drugs, fueling the deep darkness inside of him. Then came the Great Depression. Throughout this period of the last century, Snub continued to be seemingly gone forever. Some people actually believe he is the single-handed perpetrator that caused the stock market to crash. Others believed him dead, and throughout the entire time, there was only one official reported sighting of the snub-nosed skeleton.
Snub reappeared during the Civil Rights Movement. Snub was just always such a fascinating character to me. Bruce, big gay Bigfoot, just really big and gay. The fact that he was considered the liaison between the Black Panthers and Malcolm X is just so interesting, because Malcolm X had been assassinated at the time the Black Panthers had formed. But he was just always a human rights organizer. In fact, that's how we met him at the 1995 Gay Pride Parade. Hey.
That's right. That's right. Soon after the Civil Rights Movement, Snub, he made his way to England, where, at the art school he attended, he met this friend whose band, he He soon joined his friend's band. They were called the Quarrymen, and Snub was lead tambourine. He left the band rather quickly and shortly after they became known as the Beatles.
Yes, the Beatles, ladies and gentlemen. The Beatles. One only knows what missing an opportunity like that could do to a person. Just ask Pete Best. The experience wasn't a complete loss, though, because after many successful records, they finally wrote a song for Snub, the title being no other than Helter Skelter. Shortly after Snub's stint with the Beatles, he re-entered his battle with depression, and darkness began to appear across the land. He has not been officially seen since. Rumors have it that Snub was involved in the missing votes from Florida during the 2000 election. Some say he was on the hunting trip with Dick Cheney when he shot Harry Whittington. Most just believe he's been painting the town red ever since.
Now, if I can add anything, everything that's been commented on, stated, hypothesized, theorized regarding the Snub in the last decade or so has been either fabricated, fictionalized, or as I like to call it, non-fictionalized. Now, with that being said, the fact of the matter is that these claims, reports, accusations, and rumor mills, however you linguistically choose to say it in your native tongue, were solely created to downplay Snub's overall impact on the good of our world.
I mean, Snub fought for every man and woman's human right. He was the muse for so many talented people. He's been involved in many things we hear about every day. I just don't know how he can be considered a Republican or be involved in Republican activities. I mean, Snub should be a hero. He should be a hero everybody knows about.
Only recently has more research been done and an interesting fact unveiled. Supposedly, it is said that Nostradamus predicted in the summer of 2007 Snub-Nosed Skeleton would produce an award-winning masterpiece of filmmaking. In Nostradamus' words, 1,978 years after the passing of a great sun, a skeletal being will manifest the greatest motion picture of all time. And Nostradamus could never be wrong, could he? So, we leave the decision up to you on whether or not to believe Snub-Nosed Skeleton, fact or fiction.